What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So we're going to do a stimulus package update. I'm going to talk a little bit about the debate from Thursday. Now, I didn't have time to show you this video yesterday, but I will show it to you today. So presidential debate, they talked a little bit about the stimulus package. So I want to go ahead and let you guys see that. But before we get started, if you guys can do me a favor, please hit the like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. But before we do, I've been getting a very, very good response from showing these videos and kind of doing the reaction style. And so I think I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to do some more reaction style videos. I'll still do the updates, but I can do more videos with the reaction style where you guys can hear directly from the people that we're talking about. So if it's President Trump, or if it's Nancy Pelosi, or if it's Mark Meadows or Steve Mnuchin, you're hearing directly from them, and then we can talk about it. I can give you my opinion, and then I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. So I like this style, so we're going to stick with it. You guys are really responsive to it, and you're showing me a lot of love in the comment section and liking the video and all that. So I want to continue doing that. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the debate from Thursday night. Here we go.
As of tonight, more than 12 million people are out of work. And as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need? 30 seconds here.
Because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the House, because of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right, Mr.
All right, so I have a few things to say about this. The first thing is, yes, it is close to an election, but it didn't have to be. We're in a situation right now where we're weeks away from it, or not even weeks, a week and a half away from an election, but we could have had this done back in June, July. We didn't have to wait this long. It was the Republicans that decided that they wanted to pause, and that pause is why we're where we are now. Because late July, you came up with the HEALS Act, and that, even though it was a Republican bill, it still came up, and you had Republicans that weren't supporting it. You had Senate Republicans that weren't supporting it. And so that automatically changed the game, because now you have to have a negotiation, because they couldn't just push this through. They couldn't push the HEALS Act through. If you notice, when Nancy Pelosi had the HEROES Act, she was able to push that through the House. Mitch McConnell was not able to push the HEALS Act through the Senate. And that was the major problem, because now you can't put pressure on Nancy Pelosi if you can't get a bill passed. And so that's what started the negotiation between Nancy Pelosi and the White House. And that now we're here, and we still don't have anything on the table. So in all fairness, we had plenty of time to get this done. And because we waited and waited and waited, and then, July 27th, let's go ahead and get something done. But by the way, we're going to be on recess for the majority of August. So hopefully we can get it done within the first week or week and a half. So that's kind of where we are. And that's why we're in the situation that we're in right now. All right, let's go ahead and continue.
Vice President,
the Republican leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
let me follow up with you, Vice President.
If we made a deal,
Biden, because let me ask Vice President Biden a question.
All right. And so right before she asked this question, so President Trump has been saying this: if we get a deal done, the Senate Republicans will pass it. We don't know that to be true, but that's what the president's saying. And we know that Mark Meadows went to talk to the senators. Actually, it was on Thursday. I'm sorry. Went to talk to the senators, the Republican senators, to try to get them on board. And so hopefully that will work. But the president seems to think he's not listening to what Mitch McConnell is saying, because Mitch McConnell did say that. Mitch McConnell said that he had 15 to 20 Senate Republicans that are not for another stimulus package at all. And then when you start looking at moving it up to 1.8 trillion or almost 1.9 trillion, Now you have more Senate Republicans that are just not comfortable with it. So before you have 15 to 20 that don't want another stimulus package at all, but now you have some more that are looking at this number and saying, we don't want to go this high. We didn't even want to go as high as the HEALS Act. So that's kind of where we are right now. Let's go ahead and continue and hear her question here.
You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American people?
Well, I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer. This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets and states that have to balance their budgets. So then have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they can keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let him go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter with him?
So that was a very interesting question, an interesting response. But Joe Biden right now, he's not president. He's not a legislator. So he doesn't have any power right now. He's that person on the sideline. He's the cheerleader. Whereas the president ultimately signs off on another stimulus package. He has that power. And he has a power of influence right now, more power of influence because he is the president. So with that position carries a lot of power. And as he's saying, the senators are going to go with it. If we can get something agreed upon, they're going to go with it. He can use a lot of his power to do that. Joe Biden can't do that because he's not in power. So other Democrats can look at him and say, well, he's not the president. He's not in power. If he becomes the president, then that's a whole different situation. So, all right, let's go ahead and continue here.
The bill that was passed in the House was a bailout of badly run, high crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of getting a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars to these states. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally. We were going to take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat cities and states.
All right, All
right, so, and if you guys watch my channel, you know how I feel about this whole poorly run Democrat states. It's very interesting. And I know you have in California, I live in California, you have Trump supporters in California. Trump was just out in California a couple of days ago. You had people out in Newport Beach out holding signs and out there waiting for the presidential motorcade to come through. You have people who live in California who support President Trump. And what is he saying? Oh, it's a poorly run Democrat state, so I'm not going to send them funding. So what are you saying to your supporters? That's what I don't understand when it comes down to situations like this. You have state and local governments that are struggling right now all over the U.S. And you're going to say, well, we're not going to give any, because right now, the whole situation, it's all or nothing. So if you have state and local governments that are struggling all over the U.S., the money is not going to any of those states. Whether it be a Democratic state or a Republican state, it's not going anywhere. So I really don't understand this. The easiest way to go about this, and legislators do this all the time, they earmark money to go to certain things only. It's simple. And I wish Joe Biden would have said this, or the moderator would have brought that up. Well, can we earmark money to go to certain things? I mean, we know that we're in a crisis right now. It's a COVID-19 crisis. Have the money go to COVID-related stuff only. And that will help out with a lot. Yes, that's going to help fire. That's going to help law enforcement because they're working overtime right now because of certain situations that we're dealing with in this crisis. They're first responders. So that money will go to those places. So when you hear that, I don't want it to go to pensions. Okay, well, don't send it to pensions. You don't have to do that. So that, I mean, every time I hear that, what I'm hearing is they just don't want to do that. They just don't want to send money to to Democratic states is kind of the way, or they don't want to send money to any state really, because like I said, if it's not going to the Democratic states, it's not going to the Republican states either, because they can't agree on a number to send it to anyone. But yeah, it's very hard being a government employee. It's very hard to hear politicians talk like that when you know that these state and local governments need the money. They definitely need the money, and they're not getting it because they're saying, "Oh, we can't send it to poorly run Democratic states." I mean, it's amazing to me. All right, let's go ahead and continue.
If I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States. And folks, every single state out there finds themselves in trouble. They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
All right, so that was it. She went off to another question, but really interesting. And the last thing that Joe Biden said was really important. So our founding fathers allowed for the federal government to deficit spend. So that's why we're in a deficit right now. And if you want to talk about poorly run governments, we have to look at our federal government. We're in a deficit right now, and we've been in a deficit for years. And so when you start looking at the whole situation, who's really poorly run? We're in a situation where we're just spend when it comes to the federal government. Now, states, they have to balance their budget every year, unlike the federal government. They do not have to balance their budget every year, and they can be in a deficit and still function. So when we're looking at this whole situation, and if you want to talk about politicians who are mishandling money, we can look at our federal government and say, yes, we're mishandling money. Now, and that's the argument of some of the Senate Republicans, why they don't want to move forward with another stimulus package. We spent too much money already. We need to work on this deficit. Now, at this time, during a crisis, a pandemic, should we really be worrying about, we don't want to deficit spend now? I personally think we should be spending as much money as we need to keep these businesses afloat, to keep people afloat with direct payments and things like that. That's what I think we should be doing. But you have some other politicians that think different. We don't need to spend any more money. We'll get out of this in some time. But we have to understand, the longer it takes for us to get aid, and if we don't get any aid, then it's going to take a long time for us to get back to where we were. And that means people are going to struggle for a long time. So I want to know what you guys think about this whole thing, but I thought that was a pretty interesting interaction and a good question as far as the stimulus package. Where are we going with it? And you see the president on one side, you see Joe Biden on the other side. It's going to be important to really focus in on how they plan, because we're now probably not going to see a stimulus package before the election. So it's going to be interesting to see how are they going to maneuver after the election. Is President Trump still going to be for a stimulus package after the election if he doesn't win, or if he wins? Even if no matter what happens, is he still going to be for another stimulus package? If Joe Biden wins, how is he going to look at the stimulus package? What does he want? Does he want monthly payments? Things like that. So these are some important questions that need to be asked right now, and hopefully we'll get some answers before the election. But I thought it was a pretty interesting dialogue discussion, I guess. Let me know down below what you guys think. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. Hit the little bell notification. That way you get notified, and I'll talk to you in the next one.